I'm good. It's hot today. How are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. Excited for another big week of hot stocks. Excited to see some of the stocks you have on the list. So let's get started and talk about some of the stocks that are making moves right now.
I actually didn't expect to still on it's August 9th.
Yep.
I didn't expect that on August 9th, I would still be able to say we still have stocks moving. It's like we haven't even missed a week. So I'll screen share because I want to show you a few things.
Sounds good.
So 2 weeks ago, I'm going to just go back to when Powell raised rates. So what I wanted to say is props to everybody who was on this session, because when Powell raised his last rate hike, we named our session Powell's on the hike, stocks to watch. And what we focused on mostly was oil stocks. Because oil, I think at that time was under $75, right?
Yes.
And we were like, okay, if this is happening, this is what it's at. And I remember you saying that you went to the gas pump and it was pretty intense. And and then OPEC was putting a little bit more tightening on the supply. And sure enough, we have had a very green 2 weeks in oil. Rich TV and I just said literally about 10 minutes ago, I said, oh, this morning oil was at 82. And you're like, it's at 85.
Yeah, 84.
84. So anyways, I just wanted to go through these picks that we talked about when this was happening and just show you the gains that came through these. Like, it's been awesome. So you remember Enbridge was at the bottom.
Yep.
It's at a pop, still lots more to go though, because this is just the beginning. We're in August. So this momentum that we just saw in oil, it's just still about to get sweeter. We've had a beautiful run up so far. So in these 2 weeks, we've had what, 12% on Marathon. Exxon has already paid out. We were right about here. Exxon, 10%. So like these are all across the board. Occidental, we had Occidental tagged. We got 14% or so. So basically I went through these and we were looking between 10 and 20%. We've already been pulling off the oil stocks. Pretty crazy, right?
That's an amazing call for them to be able to jump that quickly once you started talking about it. Pretty spectacular timing.
Well, the momentum was just right. And you and I have discussed this before, that when you see these things happen and when we're coming into a full season, that's when they pick up. So clearly that happened. I don't think it's over. I really don't think it's over. But lo and behold, we've had some pretty freaking exciting things happening. Like it's been an eventful week. Did we talk about PayPal last week, by the way?
I believe we did.
Okay. I wasn't so sure.
Actually, well, last week we did our video on the Bitcoin properties.
Right. Okay, so we didn't talk about PayPal. So I don't want to talk about it yet, but we'll talk about it when we get to Coinbase. But I wanted to ask you if we talked about it. Since we didn't get there yet, there was a little bit more news that came out of that. And we'll talk about that in a hot second. So let me just move this baby up. Can you see my trading view okay?
I can.
All right, so I named my list today hot summer market because it's been a hot summer market.
It's been a hot year market so far.
I know. So every time we think we're going to pull back, we don't. And I just been like frothing on so many things. So what we have today is, as we do, we analyze the markets and we try to catch things before our momentum flies based on economics, politics, whatever's going on. That's how these lists are designed. However, I also have so many watch lists, it's ridiculous. And I go through them twice a week just to bottom hunt, right? Yep. So I have found some bottoms that look like they're like Beyonce, like super sexy bottoms. So I'm pretty stoked about that. Like that one?
I do.
Anyways, we'll talk about the NASDAQ because it doesn't dip, as we know. So the NASDAQ never gets tired. It just keeps going and going, as we know, and it still is because tech is hot. The NASDAQ is all innovation and tech stocks. I don't think that's going to change anytime soon. Do you?
No, I mean, last year we had the nice pullback in tech stocks, which was a great time to buy. We screamed about it all year. This is a great time to buy. They're not going to stay down. They're too big to fail. And that's proven to be true this year, where pretty much all the top 7 major tech stocks and I guess AI stocks this year have really taken off. They call it the big 7. You know, the Apples of the world, the Googles, the Amazons, the Nvidias, they've all had huge years.
Exactly.
Meta, Tesla, they're all up, right?
Yeah.
So at some point, don't know when, they're probably going to go back down again, which will be a great buying opportunity. But at this point, they're all really high up. And we've been talking about it that I'm kind of scared now to buy anything at these levels.
Oh, we all are.
Right. And it's been hard to buy anything right now because everything's been so high. So you don't want to get caught holding.
Yeah, I'm going to share some. Actually, I have some pain about that exact statement today, and I'll share my pain with you shortly. But it's intense. But it's just that it's like you sometimes when you're in this part of a market, you see something, it looks juicy, but then you just get trigger scared because you're like, what if? But honestly, I mean, what the rhythm we see on the NAS is something that we saw during the pandemic. And it's just been juicy and sexy and it's still going. However, this is what I find that I am really excited to share. So take a look at the SPX, because we've been talking about this, right? When the SPX and the US 30, when these start to correct in a normal market, well, there's never a normal market, but in a historical market, when we see the large caps correct, we see the small caps take like a huge pump, right?
Yep.
So I have a little slither of some small caps in here that I'm actually pretty excited about. We'll talk about them in a snaz, but take a look at the SPX. So the SPX just keeps going higher because it's been doing really, really well. However, it does look like it's starting to get tired. But then when you look at the US 30, we had this kind of peak out of nowhere. And now with everyone saying, you know, watch out for those banks because the banks aren't reporting as well as we expected right now, right? Well, I didn't expect them to report long very well, but a lot of them have had some troubles.
Yep.
So I think that that's going to pull this down. I think that was kind of like a bit of an anomaly, this little peak here. I do think it's going to pull down, but it's been super high. So now take a look at the Russell 2000. The Russell 2000 is a small cap index, right?
Yep.
It's growing. And there's a beautiful momentum on this.
We've been waiting for small caps to turn around for what, at least 2 years now, 3 years.
Exactly.
Maybe.
But I mean, the reversal pattern on here is looking good and it's sustaining. So I find that super cool. And we can attest to that. Like we've been seeing small caps pop like nobody's business lately. So clearly the rhythm is coming back. But again, we have that little psychological fear thing because we know the large caps have peaked. It's scary to know when to come in, right?
Of course.
But later on in the session, just in our very last, I found a catalyst that I think, well, I've known about this catalyst for a while and I had it in my calendar because it kind of seems like that time is coming. So I think we have a very big catalyst coming for some small caps. And in small caps, I mean the miners.
I like that.
But before that, look at oil. Oh.
Just been on fire.
Do you see that candle?
Oh, yeah.
That candle right here broke that resistance. That was the one. Like that is broken. So
I know the oil prices here in Vancouver are outrageous. Like the gas prices now at the pump, $2.06 a liter, the highest in the country. So when the oil prices are going up, these gas stations are really taking advantage of the opportunity to jack up the prices. It's crazy.
That's right. And do you think that maybe the prices are being a little inflated to put people into electric? Do you think that's a thing?
I mean, it's definitely, if that's the plan, it's working because like how many people want to, like, I know like I have friends that have trucks and they have like 100-liter truck. So now for them to fill up their truck, it's like $200 to fill up their gas.
Wow.
I mean, that's a lot of money. And if you're
How do you
driving,
survive on that? Because
it's
a tank of
difficult.
gas lasts most people a week, right?
Well, it depends on how much you drive. But one of the things that a lot of people are talking about here is how Trudeau doesn't understand finance.
Of course
Because
not.
Trudeau,
He just made $30-some million in his office.
yeah.
He has
So
no
he's
clue.
making money, so he doesn't care about everybody else. But what he doesn't understand is when the gas prices are as high as they are, it affects the cost of everything, because those truckers are spending more money in fuel to get those products to their destination, which
Exactly.
makes the cost of food go up, the cost of everything go up. And I just don't think Trudeau understands how the cost of fuel going up affects everything else. And this is something that a lot of people are talking about in Canada, because everything is going up.
Yes.
Like everything. Like you
And
can
your food prices will go up as well.
look, you can now you can go to get a sub at Subway. It costs $17 to get a sub. Yeah, it costs us $17 to get a sub at Subway.
For a processed food sandwich.
Yeah, for a processed food sandwich, you're paying $17 right now at Subway to get a sandwich. So it's just getting crazy.
Wow.
Everything's getting crazy. Cost of food, cost of real estate, cost of gas. So it's like, where are you getting a break? You're not getting a break anywhere. Everything's costing more.
I went out last night. I had freshly caught shrimps, charcoal grilled in a beautiful restaurant, and my bill was 250 pesos. That's probably around $17.
Nice.
I had a martini, I had a tea, I had a whole bunch of fresh caught shrimps. Holy cow, that inflation is out of control.
Crazy.
Well, speaking of Bitcoin, it's having a little rest.
Yeah, just stuck around that 29.5 to like 30,000 range. Has been in there, like it's been in that like 29 to 31 range for like 6 weeks, I guess.
It is, but it's done that before. So that's what I wanted to illustrate. I'm so glad you said that. We've seen this many times. I don't think it's dramatic. So watch this. When we were right here, June 13th, we went all the way to, it took 279 days to pop off 19,600.
Wow.
Do you see that?
Yep.
That was this line right here. So yes, it did come up and down, but that was actually a consolidation zone. So like, let me draw a little Mo zone on this, because I mean, I'm feeling impatient with my Bitcoin as well, because I want a dip, because I need to stack some more before it goes insane. So I want that dip. Like I'm praying for somewhere around 26, 25. I really am. But this chart is messing with me a little bit, because a good chunk of me says we have a pullback coming, because we don't have a big catalyst. We have a few more months before there's any more ETF talk. We know that. We still have drama going on with the SEC. We have, all that drama with Ripple and Coinbase and FTX and whoever else they go after next. Those things are still happening. So to me, that sets up a catalyst for a dip. And I really want that dip to come down to this line. I want it to happen so bad. But here's the thing, it's impossible right now to argue with somebody about which way it will go. Like absolutely impossible. Because when I look at it and I think about, just the actual trend of what's going on, it seems like there's going to be some sleepiness. If the large caps are going to correct, people might take some profits off their Bitcoin. If they do, that's going to pull down. But then when you take a look, when you draw a trend line, it's actually pretty close. You see? So my trend line takes us to 28.3. So really anything can happen. We're only $1,200 away from a 28.3. So the trend says it's going to keep going, and I think it absolutely will. Just there's something in me that says we might not get that 25 unless we have some kind of big, ugly, bad news. I'm not so sure anymore that I'm going to get that 25 because the trend line is telling me unless something big and bad happens, it looks like the rhythm wants to keep going. Like, what do you think when you see this?
I've been telling you that I think Bitcoin's going to go higher. So
I totally think it's going to go higher, but
everyone thinks it's going to go drop down to 25, 27, and it might.
I think we got to ask people what's their time frame of thinking that though. Like I think when it dips, it's going to fly right back up.
When I watch Bitcoin and I see it get under 29 and then it bounces up, it just shows me there's a lot of people buying those dips.
There absolutely is.
They're like strategically buying those dips. So
absolutely,
it just feels like there's a lot of support in that area. I don't know how much lower it's going to get underneath 28.
I think to get under 28, we need a big drama to happen.
Yeah.
You know, like if China does stop Bitcoin, which they're not going to do anymore. I think they're done with their halting Bitcoin. They've pretty much opened it up. Like HSBC in Hong Kong now allows, like they have an ETF. So, you know, these things are happening. So I think it will take like, I don't know, some big drama to bring it down. But without that, I think our rhythm says we're really close to trend line. So anyways, just a word of warning on that. Now, Ethereum, I had to bring this one up. In this list, actually, let me move these two babies up here. There's actually some pretty big catalysts for Ethereum. And I haven't said this in a long time, but there's some pretty big catalysts for Ethereum. So PayPal, as you know, has announced that they have their own stablecoin now.
Yeah, I thought that was huge news. And just full disclosure, guys, Amanda and I are not licensed advisors. Please do your due diligence and do your research before you invest in anything we talk about or discuss. And past performance is not always an indication of future results. Full disclosure, I am a holder, and so is Amanda, of Bitcoin. I'm also a holder of Ethereum. Those are my top two crypto holdings. So don't go and buy Bitcoin and Ethereum just because we talk about it. We believe in it. We invest in it. But we're not trying to tell you to buy it. Okay. I just want to make sure everyone understands that, because a lot of people don't understand. Sorry, because a lot of people don't understand what it takes to buy, hold, own, and protect their crypto. So unless you really understand that, I don't think you should even be in crypto, because you really have to understand crypto properly if you want to be able to own it, hold it, and protect it.
That's it. Do your own DD. You always should do your own research on every single thing. So I know some members in our private trading club have been buying some PayPal. Myself, I'm not, for the same reason I didn't buy Facebook, but I have a feeling that's going to blow up in my face. I really do. I really do. But one thing that I wanted to say is that it was announced that PayPal will be using Ethereum.
Wow. Okay. I like that. So they use Bitcoin, they use Ethereum, and now they have their own stablecoin.
Word. So no, they're using Ethereum to build their stablecoin.
Wow. Okay. So the stablecoin will be built on the Ethereum blockchain.
You got it.
Wow.
So that was a very interesting little thing that I read today. So I'm like, that could actually be a catalyst to get Ethereum some different exposure. And because I don't think Ethereum's had any exciting dApps built on their platform in a while, right? However,
recently, no, I don't think anything recent.
I just finished telling Rich TV, I bought a little bag of Coinbase. I had this order sitting for a while though. I just want to tell you guys. So this is basically how I planned out my order. And I actually mentioned this in our trading club because somebody said, what's your buys on Coinbase? And I had a little challenge with it because I want to own Coinbase now before the ETFs come along, because as we know, the ETFs are going to be parking inside Coinbase, right?
Yes.
So for me, I needed a bag, but.
So what she means by parking is all the ETFs that are trying to get spot Bitcoin ETFs approved have all chosen to have Coinbase be custody of their Bitcoin, which means they plan to put their Bitcoin, all of it, at Coinbase.
That's right. So right now, Coinbase has, I think, custody of over 100 million Bitcoin through GBTC mostly, Grayscale Bitcoin Trust.
Yep.
So, you know, over 100 million. But now with BlackRock recommending over 80% of your wealth, which is where they get their estimate of trillions, because remember, BlackRock announced that they expect double-digit double-digit trillions to be in this ETF. And I looked and I'm like, they don't manage that much. They actually only manage like much less than that. Like I think a third of that. So I was like, where is this coming from? But then they came out with their, 80% little number. So I'm like, I don't know how much long I have. So I put an order in at 85. I put an order in at 75. And I put an order in at 65. And I thought, I'm just going to get picked up all within my nose zone and then go from there. So anyways, as I saw how fast it was coming down the last couple of days, I was like, oh, I'm going to cancel my 85 and I'm going to put in a 55. Well, it hit. So I got picked up at 85. And then I was like, oh, shoot, I got picked up. I wanted to change that order. But then this happened. So speaking of Ethereum, Coinbase has just announced that they have developed their own blockchain.
Wow.
Did you hear this?
No, I did not hear that.
This was launched today, but this could very well give Ethereum a run for its money if it functions properly, right?
Yeah, 100%.
So this was announced. So when I got picked up, I was shattered that I didn't change my order because I was like, oh, it's not even done coming down. But then this came. So this could give us a little bump. So Coinbase expects more revenue from decentralized applications or dApps, which is what's built on the Ethereum network, right? Built atop base than from the blockchain itself. So they expect people to build on them and they think they're going to make income from this. Coinbase participated in discussions among developers for future upgrades for the Ethereum blockchain. So I don't know where that comes in on the, competing and then together. I've got to do some more digging into that. Coinbase aims to provide a trusted interface, curated experience to people who've previously not spent a lot of time working with blockchains. So that's actually kind of interesting. That might be an entry level for somebody who wants to build something. So the new network, technically a layer 2 blockchain built atop Ethereum, is expected to immediately vault into the top ranks of rival projects. That's a pretty big statement, isn't it?
Oh yeah, it's huge.
Even prior to its public debut, there was already 133 million of deposits locked into apps and protocols on the brand new base network. There's already 133 million of deposits in Base's blockchain.
Wow.
That's ridiculous, right?
Hey, there's a lot of money flowing into this industry. That's what it tells you.
So I just want to say I am glad that I got my 85 actually. We'll see what happens tomorrow, but I'm still keeping my other orders as is because I am more than happy picking up in this zone. I think when you make a trading plan, you have to know like it could take quite a while to pick up off that zone. But I know for me, my major catalyst is the ETF. And I know that that ETF could be 4 months away and I don't mind waiting for that. So that's where I'm at with that. But I thought that was pretty big news. So I had to share that. Pretty huge.
I think another catalyst, like just from seasonal catalyst, is typically every October, November, we see a huge spike in crypto.
This is true.
So I just, as a seasonal catalyst, I do anticipate that we're going to see that again, October, November. I think that we might have a little bit of a tougher time here in August and in September, because that's historically what happens in the market. And that's been kind of the case to start August, where things have traded a little bit down, a little bit sideways. I do believe that we're going to see a huge run in October, November. That's what I expect, but I might be wrong, but that's what I expect based on
history. I agree with you 100%
and
because that's
seasonality. When you look at the chart for crypto, typically October, November, sometimes even December going into January, if it stays really hot, is a very good time for crypto. So I fully anticipate we're going to see that again this fall.
So one thing that you alerted me to soon before we came on is that Disney reported after hours and they had made some moves.
They did. They were up after hours. I don't know if they're up right now, but they were up after hours after they reported. And I don't think they had an amazing report. And they're one of my top 10 stocks for August. And so is PayPal, by the way. But the reason why I picked PayPal and Disney wasn't because I thought they would have great quarters. It was because when you look at the chart, they just look so beat down that I feel like money's going to rotate into those types of trades because already so much money's been made on the Metas and the Nvidias and the Teslas and the Apples this year. So money now is going to say, smart money's going to say, those are really overextended now. Let's sell our positions and let's go into some of these good quality companies that just haven't gone up yet. I think you're going to see a rotation of money. And that's my strategy right now as an investor as well. So those are the types of trades I'm looking for. Not looking to buy Apple and Tesla and Nvidia at these really high levels and multiples. It just doesn't make sense because typically when you get to these levels, it sells off. Go ahead.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I mean, on it, because we talked about Disney not long ago when we were talking about entertainment stocks. This was just a couple of weeks ago, right?
Yep.
When we were like, where does all the money go in the summertime? Everyone takes their kids to Disneyland in the summertime. That hasn't hit the books yet. The summertime flux has not hit the books yet. So when we had this conversation just a couple of weeks ago, I said, I expect that after summer quarter to be pretty juicy because that's where we see all that happen. So to me, this chart looks like it could pop at any time.
Look at the chart. It's like right at the bottom. So that's why I like the Disney idea. It wasn't for anything fundamental. It was strictly a technical trade where I look at a stock that's been as high as $200 and it's right now trading under like 90. So it just felt like it was a good technical trade.
Because it's popped up this level and not since 2020. So like this is a sale of 3 years. I think that's pretty impressive. Now, this is one that you introduced me to today that you were watching, right? RENB?
Yes.
What's this one about?
So it's a company that just did a merger with an AI company. And I think it was for some type of cancer treatment. I don't have the news in front of me, but I just thought that it had an AI angle to it. It was a very hot stock today. So I thought, okay, hot stock, AI angle. Right now, anyone who talks about AI, the stock pops. So I know that we're going to look at a lot of AI stocks. AI has been really hot all year. So I thought, here's another one. It's still really cheap, only at $1.50. Did go up 80% today, but it's another one that if this AI momentum continues, this could be one that we can make a lot of money with.
It actually looked like it ended at 80 after the pullback. It looked like it had a hell of a lot more than that.
It did, and then it came back down. A lot of people sold into profits.
260 and ended at 80. So that's kind of interesting. So there was some profits left on the table, but that was a pretty big pop. Now, Tilray has been moving all week. What was the catalyst on Tilray?
Oh, Tilray just bought a whole bunch of assets. Oh, so Disney is at $89.45 right now, up 2% after hours. So it's just under $90. So Tilray just bought the assets of the company that was, what is it? Budweiser? Is it Budweiser, the company that had a transgender model?
Yeah, I think it was.
It was something. I think it's something Bush. The company name is something Bush.
Anheuser-Busch.
Yes. So they sold. They're pretty much going bankrupt because of their decisions, and they
were forced. Just for the record. Yeah,
they just sold 10 of their businesses to Tilray for $85 million in cash.
Wow.
So Tilray's getting into the alcohol business now. So they're in the cannabis business. Now they're getting into the alcohol business. So I thought that was really good news for Tilray. And Tilray's obviously responded very well after that. Good. So hopefully they're just growing their product line. I just think Tilray's really growing their product line, becoming a very strong international company. And I am a shareholder of Tilray, full disclosure. So I was happy to see that news and to see them really doing well over the last few weeks. You can see they've gone from like $1.50 to just $3 in the last few weeks.
Rip. That's pretty freaking impressive. We haven't seen a rip like that in cannabis. Did the whole cannabis sector rip? Because I have a cannabis stop list, but I've been ignoring it for quite a while.
I think it's had a little bit of a run, but nothing huge, nothing substantial.
So when we were talking a little bit earlier about, when you see something juicy and you want it, but you get scared, that happened to me here. I want timestamp because I like what they've been doing. And I actually said that to you. You know what? I'm going to buy myself a bag of timestamp. I didn't put it in order, but even if I did, it wouldn't have hit. That's the thing. So just wanted to let you know, even if I did, I wouldn't have got it because I was thinking to put an order in around $1.17 because I really thought it was going to pull back to this level, but it surely didn't. It only pulled back to about $1.40, and today it was up over 60%.
This was looking like a day trader's paradise right here. This is the type of stock you can really day trade.
All the AI are.
Yes.
The rhythm on AI, and I'm in there every single day. And what I've been seeing is like Palantir and C3, those two run together now. When one goes, the other goes. And they just peaked and made new highs of the year, right? Just last week. And so when those start to pull back, the next ones start to step up. And it is like clockwork. It is it is clockwork. So it's actually becoming pretty juicy and easy to watch. So just to let you know, I did pull the trigger on SOUN.
Oh, you bought some SOUN.
I did.
Very nice. Congratulations. Getting in the AI game.
I bought some SOUN and pretty stoked about it because they reported and it went really well. Did you see that?
No, I didn't.
Watch this. I'm quite impressed. SOUN net loss almost halves. Woo! Revenues surged. Anyways, I did some pretty awesome digging into this and I was like, they are set for a rep at any time. Personal opinion, not a financial advisor. Do your own DD. I bought it, might be a little biased, but watch this. They were estimated to only have 8 million. They came in with 8.8.
Nice.
Pretty good, right?
Yeah, not bad.
Revenues were at 42% year over year. Gross margin, 79%. So we saw a pretty good pre-market pump in SOUN. I got really excited. We saw I think it came up about 12%. And then Timestamp took the main stage and had all lights glowing on her. So SOUN kind of sat in the background. So I think we closed up around 5%, 4 or 5% we closed today. But I have a feeling once this kicks in and circulates, people are going to realize there's some juice. SOUN said it continues to expect full year 2023 revenue in the range of 43 million to 50 million. So that's pretty decent. Pretty excited about that. The whole reason why is because they actually have an AI that is being used, that is being purchased, and it's a voiceover AI. So it's communicative. Did I say that right? Communicative, yeah, kind of. AI. So it's a hard word. But anyways, there's some juice left. Analysts are calling a $5 price target on this.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Got my attention. So that would be like from here, that would be another 150% if it gets that $5 price target.
Exactly. So I got $1.98 and it looks like there's some juice left in there. So I'm pretty excited about that. Now,
nice. Congratulations for your entry on SOUN. Hopefully you win big on that one.
I hope so. I had already taken one little run on it like a couple weeks ago, and it was just a little test run. And I took one little peek. I didn't take much. It was under 10% because I got scared and ran away. But then I got back in because I'm like, I think we're good. This is one that I've been reading a lot about. I'm actually pretty impressed with it. So do your own DD on Symbiotic, but Symbiotic is an AI, and it's actually, when I'm reading analysts reports on AI, a lot of them are mentioning this one. A lot of them are. And okay. I think that's why it ran all the way up to 64. Where do we get out of that? Yeah, about $65 almost. So to me, that pullback looks pretty damn juicy because last time I saw a pullback like this, we had it right here. And then we had a mad rip off that trend line. So I think do some DD on Symbiotic. And if so, they all take turns. So we don't know when the day is going to come. It's their turn, but it's going to come. GFAI. I watched this spike happen and then I saw it come back down. And now I'm thinking I might want to play with this one soon. Guard
It's
Force
funny
AI.
because you know how these things are, right? It's like they go down, then they put out a piece of news, and then it goes back up. So very,
Yes,
very interesting. I
this
really
is
like
how
what you're saying
bubbles
here.
trade.
I
Yes,
like
AI is
GFAI
a
a
bubble.
lot, and I haven't bought it yet, but I'm really looking at it now, and I'm looking at the chart, and I think you're onto something here.
I think so too. So, I mean, I've been dabbling in my AI, like just being careful, right? So, like, I did it. I had a nice, successful trade on Palantir. I had a successful trade on C3, little win on SOUN. I missed timestamp. I missed ICAD. Shattered about that, but no more screwing around. I am getting this. So, anyways, I like GFAI. I did some DD, and these guys are in like they have AI for the military. To me,
Nice,
that's a big deal. There's a lot
nice.
of money in that.
Oh yeah, I mean, every time I see a company with a military contract, stocks go berserk. So the
Exactly.
market loves military contracts.
That's right.
So yeah, AI for the military, I could see that being really big.
Also security. Okay, so listen to this one from July 20th. This was the pump that brought this 114%. Guard Force, Concord Security co-launches a robotic security service in Singapore. That's no joke. If somebody is successful in Singapore, the tech capital of the world, everybody will adopt that because if it comes out of Singapore, it's golden.
Now, if you're a public company, guys, and you see your stock is going up and down, and then you know that when you put out news, it's going to pump, and then you see your stock goes from $10, which it's done, back to $5, it's almost as if now they're preparing their next press release.
That's right.
Because they're like, okay, well, we just went from 5 to 10 on news, and it's come back down. So let's put out another piece of news, and then we can run it back up to 10. But you know what happens? And I want to make sure you are aware of this in the market. As soon as these companies start getting massive volume and the prices go up, what do, Amanda? Every time they sell stock, right?
Oh,
They
yeah,
all
absolutely
sell
they
stocks.
do.
That's their business, right? They're in the
Yes.
business of selling shares. So when the stock goes up and it's very liquid, that's the best time for them to go and raise money, sell stock, which then typically brings them back down.
They're not in the stock market to make you money. They are
Right.
public to make them money. The stock market is an avenue for companies to raise money. That's what it's actually called, which means us as the money givers are the ones that are investing in the company. They are taking our money. That's what they do.
So you need to be careful. You need to be careful as an investor when you see a stock move up a lot, because typically what's going to happen then is the company is going to rush to go to a bank, a financier, a high net worth investor, an institutional investor, and say, listen, we want to raise 50 million, 100 million, a billion, whatever the number is.
Yeah.
And we feel like right now is a good time. Stock's very liquid, and then they find a buyer and they do a stock sale. And then typically the market doesn't like that. Sometimes they do, because it means there's more money going into the company. But in Canada specifically, it's like doom when they raise money, because in Canada, for whatever reason, the Canadian investors don't like it. And every time someone raises money, the stock goes down. And typically, let's say if the stock's at $3 and they raise money at $2, the stock will go to $2.
Yeah.
It's just the way it goes. So you need to be aware of that as an investor. So this is why we always teach here at Rich TV. Read the financials, read the news, read their filings on CEDAR, get to know these companies intrinsically, know them inside and out, because the more you know about these companies, the more likely you're going to be able to make good decisions as an investor, because you're going to know, oh, wow, the stock's up like crazy. They're probably going to sell stock at some point. And then as soon as they put out that press release that they sold stock, you know it's going to sell off. So you're either selling before the news or selling right after the news, because you know that typically when they do raise money, they raise it at a lower price than the market. Because if I'm an investor and I'm an institution and I see a stock's at $5, it's gone to 10, I'm not going to want to raise money at 10. I'm not stupid. I'm going to say to them, okay, you know what? I'll give you 50 million, but let's do it at 750.
That's it.
Once they announce that, yes, it's money in the bank for the company, so it's great, but it's also more dilution because they're issuing more shares.
Mhm.
So a lot of times the market might go up because there's more money in the bank, but other times they don't like the dilution. So market makers or shorters or even insiders will sell the stock in anticipation that it's going to go down to 750 at the same price or around the price where they raise capital.
That's right. And when you're doing your DD on the AI stocks, you'll see there's a good handful. Like I'd probably say in my list of AI stocks, about half of them have raised in the last 5 or 6 months. At least half of them.
Of
So
course.
that's why ones that I brought up in April, I haven't brought up again because the dust hasn't settled on those ones. So I would, I'm not going to bring it up if the dust hasn't settled. But one that I really, really am into is this one, POAI, Predictive AI.
A new one. I've never seen this one before.
Yeah, this is an oncology. So it's a cancer AI. They're using AI to predict cancer growth, cancer return.
Wow.
So on and so forth. So yeah, kind of a big deal, I think these guys are going to be. And it looks like I'm not the only one who thought so, because back in April, it hit $14.
Wow.
So yeah, I was
juicy.
digging for what that news in April was. And honestly, it really wasn't all that big of a deal. Here we go. Oh no, they did a split. Sorry. They did a split. My bad. Anyways, recently, they've been popping off these levels. Can it come all the way down to $3? Sure it can. But after seeing what just happened with ICAD, which is also an oncology AI, I'm not so sure that's going to come all the way down. So we've got 70% out of this just since June, and we're on a pullback. So to me, it's looking juicy.
Yeah, I'm really liking GOAI, and I'm really liking GFAI charts.
Yes.
They look really juicy right now.
When you do your DD on GFAI, let me know what you think, because I'm pretty impressed. I'm looking for a spot.
Okay.
BLNK. Just to let you guys know, I own BLNK. I'm in at 648, so I'm in profit. Pretty stoked about it. It's really not so much of a big deal. I don't think it's a catalyst, just because they had a lift on their general outlook. Well, guess what? They reported, and their report was not so bad. But yet the stock came down. Like it went down like pretty decently. Where did we come to after report? All the way down to 580. And then just a couple days later, an analyst says, actually, they have a pretty good outlook. And there we went up to 730 today. So this is why I'm saying, like, right now, a lot of people, like, this to me is proof that a lot of us are trigger scared until you have that validation, right?
It's a scary time in the markets. I mean, the world is just all over the place, and
exactly.
The markets are doing really well despite the fact that rates are high. So people are struggling, but everything's going up, including stocks.
So I own BLNK and Wallbox, but I'm into picks and shovels on the EVs, because if you need an electric vehicle, you probably have to charge it at work. You have to charge it while you're driving. You have to charge it at your house. To me, the chargers are the juice. Like, this is the juice. Well, literally, the chargers are the juice. So I am looking for at least one more EV charging company, because I figure if I have 3, then I'm diversified. And if they roll like they have been, because I've been watching them closely for 6 months, and they take turns like the AI. One goes, the next one goes, the next one goes. They all take turns and they cycle. So I have a feeling that this one could be next, just judging by this chart. EVGO had a pretty juicy spike for not a great reason. It literally just left the Mo zone just because it felt like it. And it went from $4.99 all the way to $6, pulled back. It looks like it's tested the Mo zone. And to me, it looks like it's got some juice in it. So I'm wagering that EVGO or ChargePoint, I don't know which one, but one of these two is going to be my third. So I'm just not sure which one. ChargePoint has got a lot of good reviews about it. There seems to be some pretty good sentiment going out around it. So those are the two that I'm kind of looking at. Just not sure who's the winner. Rapid7. I'm bringing up Rapid7 because I actually been watching Rapid7 because they're expecting an acquisition. And usually when there's something's acquired, it likes to have a pump. And Rapid7 is in cybersecurity, and anyone that's been following us knows I'm a huge fan of cybersecurity. I think it's a necessity even more now than ever before. And Rapid7 is showing signs of life. So I think the sector as a whole, that's good news. So that's the only reason I want to brought that up. If you don't have a cybersecurity list, get in there. Okay, Beyonce bottoms. Here's the little list of Beyonces. Get last.
Okay, we have 15 minutes, Amanda.
I'm going to go fast because I have a really exciting one in a second.
Okay.
I'm just going to rapid fire through the sexy bottoms.
Sounds good.
Labs looks juicy AF to me. Match.com is
if you guys are following at home, it's nothing wrong with writing these down. I literally have a notepad and pen, and anytime there's a new pick that I'm not aware of, I always add it to my list. Sorry, Amanda, go ahead.
No, totally cool. Match.com had a nice report because everybody's out online dating again.
Okay.
And then we had a pullback. So just know we had a pullback. If you missed that launch, buckle up. Aritzia. I've been looking for Aritzia for a spot for a long time. The reason, and you know this, right?
I know you've been talking about this one for a long time. And
it's so close. So my Mo zone on Aritzia is $20. Right now we're at $23.71.
Oh.
We are so close. I can literally taste it. So I don't have my order in yet, but this week I'm actually going to put my order in because I am not going to let that go without me. It came down because Canadians were pressured and weren't spending too much money. So, you know, these were the things that were happening. But a company like this that's also expanded, I mean, they're all over the place now. And I personally call them the Lululemon of business because this is like business casual wear and they're a monster. So I'm not a fan of celebrities, but I know that Hailey Bieber has been wearing Willifred, which is an Aritzia brand. So word up on that, they're going to blow and you might miss it. Kohl's looking pretty sexy bottom for me as well. Really like Kohl's right now. Really like the look of Kohl's. And here's a little present for you. 6.98% dividend.
I like that.
Pretty good, right?
Yeah.
And Kohl's is where people go, just like a Target, to go buy their cheaper stuff. All right, this is the end of the summer. This one popped up in my calendar, Scott's Miracle Grow, because in the summertime, everybody is growing and fertilizing, and that shows up on the books at the end of summer. If there's any time that people are fertilizing, it's during the summer months. So buckle up. I did this last summer and I actually did really well. So I sold my Scott's in January, but I had purchased it in August last year. So I took a nice rip on that. And it looks like it's pretty much close to my buy zone again. Next report, November 1st. So I think that's going to be the juicy one. All right. Brookfield Energy. I changed my Brookfield Energy like underwear. Like I'm in and out of this a lot. But I love where it's at. Renewable energy, pretty juicy, 5% dividend.
Yeah, it's dirt cheap for them right now. Really cheap.
Straight it is. This is Verve. The reason I got Verve, and I've been looking at it pretty much every day, is because Kathy Wood, I watch Kathy Wood's buys and sells, and she has been buying this like nobody's business. She's been buying a lot of chunks of Verve. So it is, it's a biotech company. They're doing some interesting things, and there's a lot going on in there, and Kathy clearly knows something. Speaking of cybersecurity, CrowdStrike, looking good. Had a nice dip. I'm out of it. I was in it. I'm out, but the dip is looking pretty good to me. I think it's almost time. BlackBerry. BlackBerry is back to my buy zone. I did good on BlackBerry 2 times off this zone. And I think it's looking pretty sexy again. Now, little slither of small caps before we get into the juicy stuff. Everyday People Financial. We talked about this one last week and the week before. Told you guys it was at that bottom and we got some beautiful juice out of it. So this one went 114%.
Nice.
Little pullback, but the reason I say this one is because they're offering a not so bad of an interest rate for an online bank account. They're Canada based and they have actually mortgage products now that are pretty cheap. considering. So I think this is something that's going to be attractive to people that are interest rate hunting. And clearly the chart says so. Takeoff, I've talked about takeoff before, but it's looking like a sexy area to me. Lots of times lately, we've seen takeoff around this area, it's taken off. So this is drone delivery system. Pretty interesting, right? So
Yep.
every time it's hit this level in the last year, it's popped at about 60-65%. So sexy boom. Dragonfly. Do you know Dragonfly?
I do. It's
Robotics.
drones, right?
Drones and robotics.
Yeah. Okay.
So they've been actually expanding their business model, and I was reading more about their robotics and I'm like, oh snap, there's actually going to be a huge call for this. So I'm looking for a spot. I don't know where. I think it can still come down about another 20%. So somewhere in this zone is going to be a launch pad, not sure where. Big. If you look at Canadian public companies holding Bitcoin, Big is one of the largest holders of Bitcoin out of Canadian public companies, and it's at 35 cents.
Wow.
They actually own a ton of Bitcoin, considering. So if you look at public companies that own Bitcoin, Big is in the list, the same list that MicroStrategy is on. Not even near what they have, but they still made it to the down list. So I think it's worth paying attention to these guys. Another one, this is BBKC. This is Big Digital Assets in the US. Do your own DD. FCX. The reason, okay, let me bring up my article and I will show you the catalyst for these last stocks. I know we only have 9 minutes, but this was the exciting thing for me today. Do you know how recently we've been talking about what could be the catalyst for small caps to rise?
Yes.
And you've said it yourself, there has been no catalyst for miners have been down in the dumps because there's been no big, aside from lithium, because that's like the main topic of electrification of vehicles. There's not really been a big catalyst for miners. This is our catalyst. Saudi Arabia to spend $3 billion US acquiring global mining assets in 2023. This has not occurred yet. There's only 4 months left in 2023. So to me, this is the motherload of catalysts.
Saudi Arabia is they're putting their money into everything these days.
Saudi Arabia's new mining investment firm will acquire assets in key minerals such as iron ore, copper, nickel, and lithium.
Brilliant.
These
That's
four
brilliant.
sectors. So now I'm like, I did so much DD this week to see, because this came up in my calendar as it's time to look, and I probably should have looked before, but I dug a little bit more and I have not found any that they've acquired, which means they're not there yet. There's only 4 months left in 2023. I really feel this is our catalyst. So they will, blah, blah, blah. They have so much money, like billions, up to 3 billion in 2023. Complete 2 to 3 transactions this year. That's pretty impressive, right? So then I found myself digging through all the top, because clearly they're not going to buy, some piece of garbage. They're going to buy something that already producing a lot of iron ore. Otherwise, they're in exploration, and why would they do that, right?
Yep.
So I was looking for ones that produce quite a bit of iron ore, produce nickel, So I'm looking for ones that actually have it coming out. And that's what I got in this list. I have a feeling that out of this list, we're going to see some acquisitions. How out of all this list can we know which ones that are going to pop? Well, we know that when one sector goes, they go together. So I'm not sure it's going to be like you need to be exactly which one. I think when iron ore gets some good news, all of the iron ore companies are going to run with it. So here's my list. FCX, Freeport, McMoran. They're one of the top iron ore producers, pulling heaps out of the ground. Just want to let you know that. Do you have a dividend? 1.41%. Then we have Tech Resources, iron ore and copper, and these guys are a monster. 0.89% dividends, so not really worth it. Still a bit of upside, but if they're one of those ones that Saudi taps, buckle up, because it's only at $41. Southern Copper Corporation, they have a 4.18% dividend, and they're actually pulling quite a bit out of the ground, copper and iron ore, and I think they have nickel as well. CLF, I'm really excited about those sectors right now. Like, don't you think that's juicy?
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's very difficult. There's thousands of companies, so it's difficult to figure out what they're going to buy. But it's nice to know that they're, putting their money into the sector. So I think it's a good strategy.
I have a feeling they're going to buy the top ones. So like the ones I'm showing you that are higher, but I think that it will lift the entire sector. So that's why I'm saying, like, don't buy those tops hoping for a home run in the top. But if the whole sector can run together on that news, you want to know which ones you need to tap, right? So I think there's a lot of juice left in CLF, like a lot of juice in CLF, and they actually did well last report as well. Then we have United States Steel. This actually looks like a solid contender. I was doing some digging, actually, they actually do look like a solid contender. But even if they don't, and they just take a lift on the sector, there's 65% left in that stock. So another thing I learned is that, and I went back and time-stamped these. A lot of these peaked. Do you want to know when they peaked?
2020?
When the Ukraine-Russia war started. So these nickel, iron ore, and copper stocks had a big pump the same month that the Russia-Ukraine war started. A lot of them have pulled back about 50% off that, which to me says that if you were investing at that time, it might be time again. So I think there's some pretty decent ones left in LIF, but look at the dividend, 8.72%.
I like that.
Right? LIF, this is Labrador, it's Canadian, Labrador Iron Ore Corporation. So big pump at the war, they got about 70-ish% left in them, but just to hold it from those levels, you have over 8% dividends. So pretty stoked about that. That was my favorite. MSB, Misabi Trust. This one was quite interesting. Do your own DD, but I actually think it's pretty frothy because, do you see this dividend? 10.21%.
Whoa.
Woo!
Double digits.
Double digits. And we got 100% left in the chart. These guys are also a monster.
I like that. Chart looks good. Chart
but it's
looks really good.
Chart
looks like at a bottom and it's got a massive dividend. So that's like could potentially be a double win for you.
You got it. I saved the best for last. That's why I was excited about the end of our show. Then we have Black Iron. They actually should not be this low at the bottom. I did a lot of digging on them. I think they have a ways to go, but they're super risky because they're 8 cents. So do your own DD, but it's quite interesting. BKIRF. When a sector like iron ore goes up, you have all those, retail investors are looking for the next hot cheapie that could monster it out. Just a couple more, almost done. Canadian Nickel Company. I got a little mix of US and Canada in here because the Saudis said they were buying global miners, not just US. So I had to slither in both. Canadian Nickel Company, we don't have a dividend, cheapos, but the chart is juicy. So do you see that number? 231% to take us back to a year ago high.
Wow, I like that. Chart looks juicy.
Yeah, Canadian Nickel. This spiked beautifully when the war started. It's had a pullback because everyone forgot and stopped caring. But if the Saudis are looking for nickel, Canadian Nickel Company is pretty monster. So, and then it's CNIKF in the US, my bad. 3 more. First, Quantum Minerals. Not so low, pretty cheap dividends, but they actually have all 3 minerals. They have nickel, copper, and iron ore, which made them interesting to me. And they are FQVLF in the US. Last one, I traded this when the war started. last January. You can go back. I traded Valley. I got out. It looks juicy as hell to me. Their dividend was a heck of a lot higher last time I traded it, but whatever. 5.37% is still a pretty decent dividend. And they actually are a solid contender for an acquisition and about 60% left. What do you think?
I love it. Thank you so much for the list once again, Amanda. Thank you so much for your time. I got a long list of picks here that I've added to my list today. Hopefully you've added some picks to your list today. And thank you for everyone joining us today on Stocks and Stacks, episode number 12. Can you believe it? This is our 12th episode. So we've been doing this now for 3 months.
Well, we've been doing this for years, but we've been doing it on YouTube for 3 months.
Well, Stocks and Stacks, the Stocks and Stacks show. So now
I think
3
it's
months
pretty
straight.
awesome that 12 weeks flew by.
That's right. We've done 12 weeks. So stay tuned. We'll be back next week again with the top stocks that are trending, that Amanda likes, that I like, and hopefully that you like. Thank you for watching, everybody. Amanda, always a pleasure. Thank you, Amanda, from Mexico.
You almost said Bali. I saw it.
Amanda from Mexico. First she was in Bali, now she's in Mexico. And thank you for those of you guys that have been watching today at home. We wish you the best. And remember, if you're not winning, probably not watching, because we bring you the winners and we bring them to you first. Have a nice day, everybody. This is Rich from Rich TV Live and Amanda from Mexico and Big Casa Homes saying have a nice day. We'll see you soon.
Peace.